things first before we introduce our wonderful guest speakers. Wayne?
Put it in the Bible.
A lot of you remember we get our bulletin that we send out every quarter. We did send out one too long ago about lung grave up the hill. You may have read that. Well, the gentleman that wrote that and his dog are in attendance tonight. Where okay, he's over here.
Kelly's down asleep.
And yeah, Kelly, the dog of the speech, they're both here. Talk to them a few months later. And also another one of our members saw the picture and saw how dilapidated the old lone grave is getting become. And so he on his own went up there and refurbished the lone grave. That's Dan Brown.
Dan Brown.
So, thank you everybody. Appreciate that.
I know.
Okay, so we have a couple thank yous to Larry, Hannah, and Gabe Connor for bringing the reflections tonight. And of course, James Ketchum for doing that. And I think, remember the raffle goes to the end, we'll draw, so if you haven't bought raffle tickets and you want to, you should do that. And that money goes towards the river. And then I think my father-in-law wanted to say something real quick, and then we'll get going.
What I want to talk about is the Cornish connection that we have with the twin cities of Penzance and Bodmin and Nevada City. This year, some of us men from the Grass Valley Male Voice Choir are going to near Madison, Wisconsin, Mineral Point, and put on a musical drama on the Cry of Tin. This Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Nevada City Methodist Church, we will be doing a preview of that. This particular music drama has never been performed in the United States, and it's only been performed once in Falmouth in 1998, I believe.
Cornwall.
In Cornwall, in Falmouth. So I just wanted to announce that. Thank you.
And we went to the Dwellings.
Okay, well then, now we're on to the main business of the night. We have Gary Plunkett and Dennis Casella. And are you going to come up here, or where are you going to be standing? There you are. All right, so let's give them a hand. Thanks.
Hey, can you hear me? Is
No.
the sound system off?
Where's our
Yeah. Can you hear me that?
Yeah.
Let me move it up. How's that? Better? Okay. So I'm Dennis Casella. I worked for the county for a long time, and I know a lot of you in here. I'm also a life member of the Nevada County Historical Society and have been for about 20 years. But in my current incarnation, I was just elected last night as the chairman of the board of the Board of Trustees of the Nevada Cemetery District. And so our presentation tonight is largely about the cemetery district and the 28 cemeteries that we either have or are in the process of acquiring. We'll talk first about those that we are acquiring. We have the Deer Creek Cemetery, which we just opened in May of last year. And that's on just up from Boulder Street. Our second cemetery is Elster Memorial, which is off of, Gary helped me, McCourtney Road, about 6 miles out. We're opening that in October of this year, and it will specifically have a veterans section and will be displaying all the flags of the military services. We're also willing to designate other sections in Elster Memorial for other groups such as lions, seroptimus, iguanas, whatever. So if you have an interest in having a dedicated area in that cemetery, certainly talk to one of the other board members or myself. The other cemetery, or the third cemetery we are in the process of acquiring is Cherokee Township, and that's right near the entrance to Ananda. We are in the final stages of that. We should have a deed signed within the next month or so. And then now I'll talk about the really good news. Pioneer Cemetery in Nevada City. The Cemetery District Board made an offer to the City of Nevada City back about 9 months ago to take over and operate that cemetery as part of the district. We then ran into a problem when we were told Nevada City doesn't own it. Well, Nevada City does own it. We can prove that because we found the deed 2 days ago. It was your Historical Society bulletin that gave us one of the clues that that cemetery was in fact Nevada City's. But then I went to City Hall and I looked through Burl Robinson's file back in 1974, and there was a story in the San Francisco Chronicle that said that Nevada City had reacquired Pioneer Cemetery recently. Well, what is recently to a newspaper reporter? Kind of scary. So I went to the library and I looked at all of the newspaper articles from 1974, looking for some indication that Nevada City City Council had done something. It wasn't there. So I said, all right, we've got an article that says that they did, published in San Francisco in October of 1974. So I'm going to go back to the city council minutes from 73 forward. And in November of 1973, there was council action to accept the grant deed and record it. Well, now we know that there's a grant deed and it's been recorded, but where is it? So we went into the inner workings of City Hall and through file cabinets, and we found a file that said old grant deeds. And in old grant deeds, about halfway through, was the deed to Pioneer Cemetery. So we had affirmed about a month ago our offer to Nevada City to take over the cemetery and operate it. So it's now back in our legal counsel and Nevada City's legal counsel's hands to put together the agreement and give a grant deed to the cemetery district. So that, it took us months to find that, but we finally did. So I want to talk about Nevada Cemetery District. We were established in 1942 by a vote of the people of Nevada County. So as such, we are a tax agency. Now taxes, property taxes, only bring us about a third of our operating budget. The other comes from sale of plots, niches, scattering gardens, various other things that we sell. In 1946, the district boundaries were expanded, and again in 2006, they were expanded again. And I was involved in the 2006 expansion. What that did was to bring Nevada City, the city of Grass Valley, and the South County corridor, Alta Sierra and Lake of the Pines, into the cemetery district. Because up to that time, they had not been in the district, and you could not be buried in a Nevada cemetery district. District cemetery. So with the exception of the town of Truckee, they have one cemetery in Truckee. All of the other 28 cemeteries that are public cemeteries belong to the Nevada Cemetery District. There's a 5-member Board of Trustees appointed by the County Board of Supervisors. And I'd like to point out that one of the other trustees is in the audience, Clarence Motter, if you stand. Clarence is the newest addition to the Board of Trustees. We have one trustee that's been there since 1991. We have 3 full-time employees and 1 3/4-time employee that go the rounds, if you will, maintaining the various cemeteries that we have. We also have a contracted secretary, and our annual budget is right at $500,000, $500,000. We've talked about the Truckee Cemetery District, our district office. Most of you in this room would be familiar with the old HEW building. We are right behind the HEW building, and we're monitoring very carefully what becomes of that building. We would like to have made an offer to acquire that building and to place a mausoleum there, but it's just way beyond our financial capability to do that. We have 13 heritage natural cemeteries. And a lot of people ask us, well, what is a natural heritage cemetery? The definition is very easy. If there's no grass, it is an old cemetery where they didn't plant grass. Our newest cemeteries are full lawn cemeteries and have ossuaries and columbariums and scattering gardens and so on. But the old cemeteries, the board has made a decision to keep them as they were at the time that they were established. So in the case of Pioneer Cemetery, we're probably going to put a walking path through there. We may add a columbarium, niche column if you will, if there's space to do that. But otherwise we keep our cemeteries as they were. We have 9 inactive cemeteries. Those are cemeteries where they are known or suspected to be fully occupied. I don't know if that's the right term, but there are no more available plots in them. So who can be buried in a Nevada County cemetery? Residents of Nevada County or taxpayers within the county. So a person who is a taxpayer but resides elsewhere can be in our cemetery. Any resident of Nevada County can be also. And that's because you pay taxes to the support of the district. So, Gary, you haven't been following me, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Pick me up to Deer Creek. I was supposed to use this, I've never used one before.
My apologies.
Okay, Deer Creek. Yeah. So Deer Creek is located on Red Dog Road in Nevada City. So as you're going up Boulder Street, as you leave Boulder Street and you look to your left, that is the new Deer Creek Cemetery. We have full body and cremation in ground plots. So if you want to be buried in the ground, but you also want to be cremated, then we have plots for that purpose. We have a cremation niche column. We have a scattering garden where your remains can be scattered in a garden environment. And we also have an ossuary for cremated remains. And an ossuary is an underground structure where the remains are placed in that underground structure. Next one, Gary. Got there. We have 200 full-body plots, 450 double cremation plots, and 60 double cremation niches. If you haven't been out there to see it, it is worth going. It is absolutely a beautiful cemetery. And Elster Memorial, when it is finished, will be very similar to this one. So, as I said, we opened it in May of 2010. Let's go to the next slide. Before and after, that's the niche column. Scattering garden, ossuary. So we don't have the before and after on that one. Okay. So there are 255 public cemetery districts in California. Nevada Cemetery District ranks first in the number of cemeteries within the district, 28 if we get all of our plans completed. We are first in the area covered, 695 square miles out of the 920 square miles in Nevada County. We are 125th in the number of interments annually, about 65, and we are 100th in the number of acres. I suspect if we acquire these additional cemeteries that we're working on, that we will in fact be greater than 100th. So with that, I'm going to have Gary, who is our district manager, come up and talk about some of our specific cemeteries in that number of 28.
She was there when we started. She was there when we started.
How's everybody doing this evening? This is a full house. Man, this is great. My name is Gary Plunkett. I'm the district manager for the Nevada Cemetery District. Half of my life I've spent in cemeteries. I'm good. I'm turning 59 next month, and over half of my life, I've been with the district 32 years. Half my life has been spent in the cemetery. I'm going to talk about some of the things that, some of the cemeteries that we have. Let's see if it works. We're going back. This is our sign up at the HEW building. And I'm going to talk about that cemetery. A lot of people don't know it's there. And this is the Nevada County Hospital Cemetery. And this is, the hospital was built in 1867, somewhere around there. Been remodeled at least 20 times. We have about 2.2 acres that is right in the, we're a little island in that 13 or 14 acres complex of the HEW building on Willow Valley Road, and we have 2.2 acres. And the reason we got that is because back when Dr. Hunt, when he opened up the hospital at the county there on Willow Valley Road, they had a lot of people that were passing away. There were miners that were coming out from the East Coast, and they were they would die at the hospital from mining injuries. Influenza, I heard, was big. There was a couple other chronic illnesses that went through, and I heard at one point they were dying. 15 people a day were passing away, and they needed a place to bury them. So what they did is they went right behind the hospital. Instead of taking them over to Pine Grove, they would go right behind the hospital there, and they would dig these. They'd have the inmates and dig these big trenches, and then they would bury these remains of these people, and the only information they had was Dr. Hunt's log. And what he did was he'd write their name down, Joe Smith, and he didn't have any more information than that. The reason they died, and then the date, and if they had an age, so be it. What they would do is they'd take these little red wood. Let's see if we can get to one. I'm gonna come back. So I just want to get to this to show you, because I wanted to stop at this to tell you about this cemetery. I'll come back to this stuff. Okay, right here is the cemetery behind the hospital, right next to our office building on Willow Valley Road. And in there probably wasn't any trees. They dug these big trenches, and this was this was their headstone. And on the headstone, these little markers, they would put a number up on top. It would be, I guess they probably carved it, probably hand carved it, and the numbers went from 1 to 400, 500, because we found approximately 12 of them. And we found 4, 10, we found 6, 7, 23, there was a few scattered through. So one of my plans is to restaurate this cemetery. There's 500 people in there buried, and we do have the book on that that lists those names. I will go back. The only headstone, there's one headstone out of 500 people that's at the county hospital cemetery. And this was it. And I took a picture of it, 1888. And below it, right here, is the number of his marker. And so if he hadn't if somebody, family member, hadn't have known this information, all he would have gotten would have been that wooden stake. Sorry I jumped on it, but when I get to that point, I want to talk about it, I just go. We have some very interesting cemeteries. I imagine a lot of you have been to a lot of them. Here's our crew. We have one more addition. Scott Thomas, Chrissy Huskin, and myself. This was several years ago.
Could you slow down a little bit?
I'm sorry. I'm just going back to where I'm trying to go back to where I was. Okay, here we go. This is during the springtime. We're cleaning up the Loney Sanford Cemetery, and this is the location out on McCourtney Road of our new cemetery. The Elster Memorial Cemetery is right behind, adjacent to this cemetery, to the Loney Sanford Ranch Cemetery. Right behind it, we had donated some acreage from David and Judith Elster, and they gave us 5.37 acres that we've developed into 2 phases. And this is our this is the old cemetery at Loney Ranch. Clear Creek Cemetery on McCourtney Road. This is coming up from the South County on McCourtney Road, right next to the Clear Creek Schoolhouse. Most of the families down on this this area, the Loney Sanford Ranch Cemetery, as you're coming into towards the fairgrounds. This is Clear Creek. These were ranching families. These were the people that, most of them were cattle ranchers, sheep ranchers, that probably grew the sheep and the cattle for the ranchers or for the miners up in town. Here's Indian Springs. Indian Springs is on you come up McCourtney Road and you'll turn on Indian Springs, come down on Indian Springs. Indian Springs in Spenceville. Cemetery was established in 1855. Here we go, 1881. A lot of pioneer, Byers family, very old. Nichols family, they owned a great portion of the Beale Air Force Base. And when World War II came in, they lost a great portion of that to the military training center. Also, the Robinsons, Lowell and Neil's mom and dad are buried in there too. Another picture of the Byers family. This is the Struckman family. As you're looking behind, you see Pilot Peak right behind. The Struckmans owned Pilot Peak at one time. And I think they've sold off most of their holdings. Church family. This is a Nichols plot. Penn Valley, probably, well, I know for a fact that the oldest family plot in there is the Melvin Brown's family. Melvin passed away a couple years ago. And he was a rancher on Spencefield Road, dairy farmer, rancher. Here's another picture. These are the natural cemeteries. Nothing's changed. They've kept them this way. There's no water there, so it would be fruitless to try to grow any grass. There's a lot of people call this the swimming pool. They're not used to this having a family plot with 26 burial plots. Rough and Ready, very popular cemetery for us. It's one of our bigger cemeteries. It's 3.56 acres. We still do a lot of burials in there and have a lot of open spaces that are available. And it's very nice on the side of a hill there off of Stagecoach. How many in here have gone out looking at cemeteries? It's very popular. We've got a lot of them. The only cemetery that I haven't been to is Mule Springs. I know it's close to Dutch Flat, but I've yet to be there. I have not. That's the only one I haven't been there. So I've got to visit that, and someday I will. This is going into when I first came to work 30-some years ago. Rough and Ready was just a dry, I didn't know what to do with it, and I was trying to think of ways to just plant a couple trees, make it look more, when you plant a couple trees, get a little shade in there. It was just such a hot area during the summer. So what I did is I went in there and I got a tractor, and we dug, you can see these trees right here, they're Deodora cedars, and I dug these gigantic holes, and if you know anything about Rough and Ready, it is a rock pit. And I dug up so much rock that we had to haul it away in dump truck loads. And I didn't get any dirt out. So we dug I think I dug these, they were like 6 by 6 by 8 foot deep holes. And it was just all this clustered rock together. It's a real hard place to dig. And then I brought in really good humus, with a lot of amenities in it. And then I planted these Deodora cedars. They were about 4 foot tall. Now they're 50 foot tall. So I did that about 25 years ago. So I'm glad I did that because I planted some redwoods in there, and they're doing really well. And it's given it a little, giving it that little bit of green, and I kind of like that in cemeteries. Just add a tree or two, and it makes it look so much nicer. Here's Rough and Ready at the top of the hill. As you come in, it kind of gradually slopes up. This is kind of at the top where we have a little turnaround area. And very nice cemetery, very old, 1851, 50, right in there. And it's a very nice cemetery. Old stones. We're constantly, in fact, we're putting together a project that's going to take a few years where we're going to do some headstone restoration. And it's not cleaning the stones, but as you can see, these tall stones right here, they're set on rocks and the bricks have all deteriorated, the rocks have all fallen apart. So we're putting together a program, and that's for this year. We're going to put together a program to try to straighten up all the headstones in our cemetery. So if there's some big ones like that are getting ready to topple, you know, some people they tilt it up and put a rock under there. Well, we're going to try to straighten all those out, and that's going to take a few years to do that. And this is going back to the hospital cemetery that I jumped to. I'm sorry about that. Oh, here we go. This is the number. He has number 293. So if somebody had to put that marker up, he lived to 60. So in 1888, that's probably considered a good age to live. And if somebody had to put that stone there, he would have got that little wooden marker, and his probably marker would have been gone. After that cemetery filled up behind the county hospital, the 500 graves, they were going back there so much, probably filled up in a couple of years. They went to phase 2. This is on Lewis Road, off of Willow Valley Road. This is it's the county cemetery, we call it Lewis, Nevada County Cemetery, Lewis Road. And this one here is the continuation of that cemetery that's over behind the HW building. And there's about approximately 300 buried in this cemetery. And it's filled, so it's filled up, so everything was pretty full. Here it is after we did some cleanup. There's a nice shot. We put some crosses in there, and I think if there was any Jewish people there, they would forgive me. This is Scotty, and here again we planted these deodar cedars. I've got I'm a fetish over these deodar cedar trees. They grow fast. They're drought tolerant. Great tree. They almost look like a Christmas tree. And we planted. This is the Baidu burial grounds, 6 acres, and we still maintain it. And we go in. It's not so much a maintenance, but we spray around the perimeter for fire control. We weed eat in there for fire control, so there's no fires get started. We clean the front, and what we did is we planted these trees. I think this picture is back in 2002, 2003. Those trees right now, Scotty's there, he's 6 foot, so they're about 10-foot trees. They're now 25 feet tall. So,
is this out near the Camp Booty?
I'm sorry?
Is this out near the Camp Booty?
It is. Camp Booty is just right over the side of the hill. This is on Goshen? Is it Goshen? Thank you. I believe it's an Indian term, Indian name, and it's down over in a housing development. There were big 5-acre, 6-acre lots in there, maybe some bigger ones. And we got this from the property owner, deeded this because they knew that the Indian burial grounds was in there. And so we fenced it off with a 6-foot cyclone fence, and we did some restoration. We take out all the dead trees and stuff like that. So we keep it somewhat maintained.
Can you see where the graves are there?
You know what? They didn't leave any markers. They pretty much kept, there's some spots in there. I did have some of the local Indians take me in there and show me some locations where there was a few. I did get some list of names. I think there's 50 names that I have from them that have been buried back to mid-1900s, 1940, that they had gone in there and buried them. This is we're working up at North San Juan Protestant. It's another big cemetery. It's about 2.2 acres on the side of a hill. And so we're constantly working up there. It's a beautiful cemetery. It's got some big black oaks. Here's a case where the headstone, that we'll be spending a lot of time in here. This is a case of somebody coming in and pushing the headstone. It was probably a 3-tier And what happened is they pushed it off and it broke into several pieces. We'll go in there with our hoist and we'll put all that back together. We probably have already done this. And it's approximately 95%. I think we have about 30 full body interments left there. Nice trees. A headache when they come down. We've had several come down. It's almost an all summer job to remove them. French Corral, right in the town of French Corral. It's kind of off the back, but it's right there. Most of the people that are buried in French Corral are the local families, and we have some reserves in there. We have some plots that are still available. And this is my pride and joy here. This is the one that our cleanup is, I'm always in there because we get more visitation in this cemetery. This cemetery gets more visitation than any other cemetery in the county. And the reason for that is because it was very popular with a lot of the school kids from the Bay Area, Sacramento. They would come up and do the tour. That's going to be missed when the park closed down. The cemetery will still remain open because it belongs to us, and it belongs to the taxpayers in Nevada County, and we do a well-maintained cemetery. As you're driving in between the church and the school, you come to the main gate. This section over here is the old section, the established section, and we have a new section. So the cemetery is split kind of right down the middle. So we still have remaining plots up there. It's very popular. People like being buried up there. Very tranquil, very nice historical cemetery, but well maintained. Here's the new section here. We let the families, with a contractor's license, they get a contractor, they comes in and they build these what we call coped areas. The copings now, most of them are done in concrete. But if you go across on the old section, especially in Bloomfield, you'll find a lot of them wood. So we have a lot of wood ones. We have granite. Those were very popular back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. If you're out in cemeteries in Nevada County, you'll see a lot of that. Granite walls that are built up around the side of the coped areas around the family plots. Here's one of my trustees, Dennis Matthews. He's checking out, this was our first trip into Omega, and this cemetery only has about 12, 13 burials in there. And it's a closed cemetery. Some people have tried to get back there and they get lost. All I can tell you is when you're going there and you're coming down the road and you're going to the town of Omega, when you get to the very top, there's Alpha that heads back down towards Washington. You stay on the right, go down, go across. And before you get to the town of Omega, which has a gate across it because it's privately owned, you come back up before the split, and the road is right there on the left-hand side, and it's just a little trail that goes back in there. But it's a car. We were just in there doing our maintenance and got it all cleaned up. Pretty small cemetery. We have started a restoration program over at the Nevada City Oddfellows Lodge number 16 in Pine Grove. Pine Grove is the large cemetery on your right as you're coming up Red Dog Road, and as you come in, you've got Masonic Lodge, Knights of the Pythias, Woodcutters of the World. As you turn, and it's the first left as you go down. It's on the it's 0.67 acres, and it's right on the corner of Red Dog and Park Avenue. It's that corner parcel. This is a project, this is a picture before we started the project. I don't have one that shows what we've done. If you're out and about and you drive through, take a look. We've taken out, we've gravelled all the plots. We're getting ready to do the aisleways. We've got that pretty much, took out all the oak trees so they won't tear up all the plots. But see, most of these right here are granite. This is probably all these plots right here. This is all solid granite rock that they have shaped into these copings. Those are very popular. This is our new project. This is the Elster Memorial Cemetery. This is right after we received the deed for the property at Elster Memorial on McCourtney Road. And I believe it was a fall day, and we took out this digger pine that died. And if you only can see it now, I've got some pictures I want to show you of it. Here's what it looked like. This is the property before we put a fence around it. There it is again. We just put the fence around it. This is right after. You can see the fence. We put a 6-foot cyclone fence. Try to keep out the deer. That's almost impossible. There's so many deer out there. I saw 15 the other day. And I would like to show if Dennis will... Anybody have any questions? Anybody want any questions about cemeteries? I pretty much know all the laws. Question?
About all those trees and groups of trees, whether we got them there or we did, don't they grow underneath and dig up the people?
I think a lot of people want that. But I don't know. You're right, they do. We have so many big trees that have gone through and have actually lifted up those plots and have gone in, and they've done some things. I can tell you some stories. Yes, they have gone into family plots. We've had to go in there and remove the tree, or the tree falls down. And then what we have is a big mess. And then we try to keep the trees standing, if I can keep them standing. But a lot of times they build, when they build these things, the trees are probably like this, and now the trees are like this. And some of the old grave sites that we have.
But it's on you, the cost is on the taxpayers, not the family.
Not families.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to find. When I go out, I used to go out when I was younger. I used to go out every Memorial weekend. I would stay all from dusk to dawn, and I'd go to Bloomfield, Pine Grove. I just walk around, and then if I saw somebody like in Bloomfield, if I saw somebody over by a family plot, boom, I would beeline over them, and I'd say, "You know anything about this family?" And they would give me all this information, and I'd just be writing it down. And anyway, I don't know if you can see these. Wayne, could you? Okay, this is the start of the construction phases. I kind of just took some quick shots, and I did this right here. Hey, how about this? The first thing that went in our district was we made a road. Look at that, brand new handicap parking. That's the first thing. You had all this property, and we built this gravel, or it was dirt at the time, dirt road going in. They built this. It didn't look right. This fancy handicap parking. And everybody said, "What are you doing out there?" We had a lot of that. And these are pictures that the process, we had a really bad rain this year, and we had to put out the wattles. Anybody knows what wattles are? They're erosion control. We had them a mile long. They were going in every direction. I never had so much rain. This is the entryway. This is nice, because if I had an old picture of the entryway and this one, we have nice rock pillars going in. This is off McCourtney Road, right next to the existing cemetery is right to your left. As you drive in, right to your left is the Loney Sanford Ranch Cemetery. And then right next to that is the Higgins Fire District #2 station. So if you go out there and take a look at this, this is what it's turned into. I took a couple shots when I did this, I think, yeah, I did this morning. And I went out and we planted the grass. We have all the trees in. These little platform areas, they're the paver platform areas. These are going to be for niche columns, above ground cremations. This is before we did the grass. I kind of got it mixed up. This is kind of before we did the grass. We were doing layouts of power and water lines and a lot of the stuff we did to just try to save money. The project, I don't know our bottom line cost of the project. I know we're into probably $250,000, but the end result is going to be well worth. This is going to be a jewel for the county and the taxpayers. This is beautiful. This is looking into that area that we took out that tree that I showed you that picture. And these areas in here were the niche columns. It's got a little walkway coming up. And these little paver areas are for niche columns. That's going to be a scattering garden in there. There's another picture of it. This is our path walkways. We got walkways that go out in through the cemetery and out into, this is the area coming from the old cemetery. So we have walkways that are coming from the old cemetery, the Loney Sanford Natural Cemetery, into our lawn grass Elster Memorial Cemetery. So there's access coming in. There's another view. That's a beautiful view right there. That's pretty much what it looks like. It is just going to be, I'm thinking we're going to have about 1,200 in-ground plots, another 500 cremation. We'll start out with probably 60 niche columns. Scattering garden is, you can put as many as you want in a scattering garden. Ossuary, we have an ossuary. This is going to be the new veterans marker. This is where we're going to line this with the flags. This circle that comes around, we're going to line this with all the military flags. We're going to have the American flag with the California underneath it, and then a POW underneath that. And we're on the process of putting that together right now. Another picture looking back into the cemetery grounds. This is the dividing. As you can see on the right is the new section, and on the left, the transition from the old section to the new section with the pavers, the aisleways coming from the old section into the new section. It's really, and we use some of the moss rocks that are out there. I put together a little project that we're right now currently putting together. We're going to have a water feature, and the water feature is going to go right in the middle of this. It's going to be a tranquil waterfall in the middle of the spot there between the two pavers going each way, and that'll be a real nice addition to the cemetery. I just put this in. This is he's done both of our rock pillars. He did such a nice job that I had him pose for me, and this is kind of, after we got the road in, this was kind of the first phase of we put the rock pillars in, and the rest of it, BP Landscape did the landscaping, did a fantastic job, and our plans are to have our grand opening. We have a tentative date for October 1st at the cemetery. So after October 1st, it'll be open for interments. We're excited. It seems like every time we turn around, we have another cemetery. The list is getting long, and I'm hoping that's good.
Who's that?
That's my baby.
Question?
Way to find out who's buried in each cemetery? Do you have?
We have a list that we put together of. We have a computer. We put all of it in a computer. We do 3 different things. We computer download. Then we have paper files that we put paper. Those are, you can't trust those. We put them in fire safes, but you never know what's going to happen. But we do disc every night, and then I take a disc home, and then we put a disc in our. We have a big fire safe that we put the stuff in there. So 3 places. But we have a pretty good list of all the people that are buried in the cemetery. It's probably nothing's 100%. But
How can the public access that?
if you were to call me, I could probably put together something, you know. And a lot of that information, Nevada County has. Searles has a ton of it. They have a ton of it. Yeah, we got a lot of our information because Ed Tyson was on my board, and Ed Tyson, I think, is still at Searles. I'm sure he's, probably somewhere up there. Anyway,
He's overseeing us.
he had me doing all kinds of things. He had me dragging boxes that were mildewy.
Pat says he's overseeing us.
I do have a map of all the cemeteries.
Still up on the.
I know where they're all at.
Yeah.
I even know where all the Chinese cemeteries are.
Can I get a map?
You can get a map of that. You give me your name and I'll send you one.
You wouldn't have it on the internet?
No, not yet. We have it. We have a website, www.Nevada Cemetery District, and we have a lot of information. We just don't have all the list of all the names and all the. I think we have a list of all the cemeteries, but I don't have all the names not on there yet. So that's a lot. Yes.
Do you have any better information than I've received from St. Patrick's on the old St. Patrick's Cemetery?
No, I don't have any of that information. And the reason for that is
Because it belongs to the diocese.
it belongs to the diocese, and yep, I talk to those people at least 2 or 3 times a week. You talk to Frank?
Yes.
Okay.
Another question, how many cemeteries are there in the area?
52, 53.
50 some cemeteries.
I have a question.
The way it used to look.
I'd like to clarify about Pine Grove. I have quite a few Pioneer family members that are buried there. And it's my understanding that the cemetery district has kept maintenance of part of the cemetery, but then part of it has been given to Hooper and Weaver.
Okay. When I first started, huh?
Because some of the graves are in bad shape. They're
Can you repeat the question.
Okay, I was trying to clarify, since some of the graves at Pine Grove are actually collapsing in themselves with the top broken.
And we have those in the Ottville section, yes.
I'm trying to find out who has what responsibilities for maintenance at Pine Grove.
Okay. Pine Grove, when I first started, and I didn't know anything about it, we went in and maintained it.
This way on the fence line.
Then we found out that we didn't own it. And Nevada County Council came to me and said, you're not supposed to be doing this work on, or came to a board meeting and said, you can't use taxpayers' funded money to maintain something that somebody else owns. So we stopped maintaining Pine Grove. Then Pine Grove was owned by several different, as you drive in, and I can tell you this if I had a map, Pine Grove was owned by several different fraternal orders. Masonic Lodge, down over the side of the hill towards Nevada City, Knights of the Pythias. To your left, as the old Oddfellow Cemetery, down over the hill, Nevada City actually had a part of that cemetery. And then in the back, as you're going in the back and swing around and go out on Park Avenue, that section back in the back, a lot of that was used for the indigents, and that was an indigent burial grounds. And I got a lot of this stuff. Roman Rosinski, we used to go back, and he'd come over and we'd talk, and he'd point people out and say, this used to be the, and I said, okay, and that's, we just went around. He would give me a lot of information. I just got a lot of information from everybody. But what happened was, we found out that we didn't own the cemetery. We didn't hold the deed, so you can't use taxpayers' dollars to maintain. Hooper and Weaver bought Ed Ferrano out, and when he bought Ed, that gave him the control of whatever's not owned by the fraternal orders. Hooper and Weaver has the control over that area in there.
Well, that's a problem because I paid to have some graves for my family taken care of that were having problems. If you talk to them, they say they only are responsible for burials, current burials. And there are graves that are collapsing.
Yeah, oh, there's, I'm in there all the time, so I know that, yeah, there is a lot of them in there.
It's a safety issue.
And it's something that needs to be brought up. I don't know if it'll ever happen. But it is a cemetery that, it's in disgrace, and it should be taken care of. It's a big cemetery, it'll be a lot of work. I think if everybody got together and we all sat down and joint action, you might be able to do something in there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try to bring that old Oddfellows section up to a point where it looks so good that people are going to, start complaining about the rest of it. And, that's how it gets started. And then pretty soon, people are going to want to know, well, how come it is all maintained like that? So, but that's our plan. And I'm sorry that Weaver doesn't, being responsible for just the burials, they actually own it. But back when the cemetery started, it was started by Holmes, Grove, and he sold those plots to the individual families for deed. They had actual deeds for those plots. So they actually sold them. So that gave the responsibility to the families to maintain their own plot. That's how I'm, that's about as much as I know. Does that answer your question?
Well, I'm sure Mr. Plunket will be here for more questions afterward. We hope. Yes.
You already talked about our endowment.
I will. Go ahead.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
We're just kind of closing up, so if there's something we need to tell everybody.
Oh, endowment fund. Everybody know what endowment fund is? In the cemetery business in California, it's mandated by the state of California Health and Safety Code that all cemeteries have an endowment fund. Cemeteries prior to 63 didn't have to have an endowment fund. If they never set one up, they didn't have to have one. But anything after that, they had to have an endowment fund. But if you're in the cemetery business, after all the people that I've talked to, all the cemetery people, endowment fund is a necessary, and it's based on a square foot of the space, surface space of the plot. And so if it's $4, our plots are 4 by 10. If it's $4, it's 40 foot, it'd be $160. So that's the minimum that can be charged for endowment care. So that money goes into a fund. It goes, right now, our fund goes up to the county, goes into a fund, and we can only use the interest off that fund. We cannot use the principal, but only the interest off that fund for the maintenance of the cemetery. So we think it's good that everybody has an endowment fund. So that's why we put everybody that comes into our districts, we have an endowment fund. And that all goes into this, and our fund has grown and grown and grown. And I know some people, Sutter Cemetery District, that has $11 million in their endowment fund.
Point out that
We don't. If I had $11 million, no, we don't have. We didn't start an endowment fund. We were started basically for the restoration and the preservation of historical cemeteries in Nevada County. That's basically why we were started up. But now we're more into the business. We have some plots, we have some land. So no, we don't have that limit. If we just started back in 1909, getting endowment, we would have a nice little nest egg. But anyway, we don't have that. But it is growing, and we watch it every month, and we use the interest for the maintenance of our cemeteries. And anybody else have any questions?
Are you saying that you want donations and contributions, or is the endowment paid for by the people who want to be interred there?
Donations are fine. Who's going to turn down donations? I mean, you want to donate to my retirement fund? No. we have a great board, and Dennis has taken over for David Ray. David Ray has been my chairperson for, since 97, 98, and has done a great job. We all love him dearly. He, at the board meeting, he said, I just want to be a board member. And of course, Dennis stepped up, and I think Dennis is going to be a great asset, and he already is. He went after that Pioneer Cemetery like a mountain lion, and I'm real proud of what he's done. I was kind of dejected because I didn't know if I wanted this cemetery. I went up and took a look at it with him. We walked through several times, and I said, this needs to be, it's Nevada City, this needs to be taken care of. So in the next couple of years, I want you to go up there and take a look at it and see what we've done, because it's going to really change. We're going to put new fences, we're going to trim the trees, we're going to put paths in there, we're going to straighten up all the headstones. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be like a little park.
We are looking for a donation that we're specifically looking for is a parcel of land near Lake of the Pines in the southeast part of the county. Elster Memorial is in the southwest part of the county. So if you have some land or know somebody who would like to make a tax-free contribution of some land or some cash, definitely we'd like to have an LOP type of